Okay, so today we have a small concept in Python, modules and packages. So now let us understand what is module, what is package, and how we can work with the multiple modules and multiple packages in Python programming. So in Python, normally in PyCharm, right? So far we are creating directories, and inside the directories we are creating the Python files. If I just look at here, we are able to create the Python files, right? But like this, we can also create packages, okay, and modules. So let us see what is module first of all. So in Python, uh, first we will start with the module, then I will discuss about the package. Okay. So in Python, basically module is a collection of functions and classes. And when I create a module in Python, which can we can write inside the module, we can write a different type of functions, and we can also write a classes. And what classes contains? Again, classes contains the variables and methods, because functions is a different concept and methods is different. The same function, if I create inside the class, we can call it as a method. But when I create a function without having class, we can just call it as a function. So when I create a new module in Python, which always contains a number of functions and number of classes. So the module is collection of functions and classes. Class is again nothing but which is contains a number of variables and methods. Now I'll show you how to create a module, or how to create a modules, and how we can work with the modules, and how we can call the functions from one module to another module. So basically why this concept is required. So sometimes while developing an applications, there are so many functionalities, or there are so many features are available in our application. So normally all the features are not developed by a single developer, right? So the features will be divided into multiple developers, and they will take the ownership of the specific features, and they will develop all the features in the different modules. And finally, they integrate all the modules and make it as a one single application. So that's the reason the modules are come into picture. So developers write all the functionalities or features, or they develop the features inside the modules. Okay. So one developer will implement these functions and classes in one module, or another developer will implement his functions and classes in another module. Like this, the development will happen at the end of the day. So all the modules will be integrated and they will test it. So here, let us start how we can work with the modules in Python. Let's go to PyCharm, and let's create a new directory for today. New directory, I say day 9. Okay, now I created a new directory. This is just a directory, is a folder. Now inside this, whatever Python file you are creating, that is a module. So when I right click here, new, and you can see multiple options here. So file, directory, and Python package. So for creating the Python package, there is an option is available here. But for module, we don't have any specific option here, because the Python file itself is a module. So a Python file itself is called as a module. So let me just create one module here. So I say one name I'm giving here. I'll say calculator. Okay, and this is a single module which is created. Basically Python file which is considered as a module. Now what module contains? Module contains the functions and classes. So first let us define some functions here. So how to define the functions? Just I'm talking about the function, not the classes. How to define the function? By using def keyword. Directly we can create a function. Now inside this module, I'm just going to create a new function. Let us say def add, right? So def add. So inside this, I'm just taking two parameters, and here self is not required. Why? Because which is not created inside the class. When I create a function inside the class, self is required. So this is a different function which is not belongs to any class. So add, and this will take two arguments as a number 1 comma number 2. Two arguments. Now inside this, I'm just trying to print sum of two numbers. I say number 1 plus number 2. This is the one function which is created in the calculator module. Now let me create one more function, def, let's say multiplication, and this is also takes two arguments, number 1 and number 2, and this will print multiplication. I say number 1 star number 2. So this is the one more function I created. So totally two functions are created inside the module. Now when you call the functions, if you want to call the functions in the same module, what you will do normally, we can just call the function directly like this, add, you can pass 10 comma 20. And suppose if you want to call multiplication functions, I say mul mul, and here say 10 comma 20, and here you can pass 100 comma 200. So if you want to call the functions in the same module, we can directly call them by passing the name and by passing the arguments. So when you run it, which will give you a result here, perfectly fine. But now what is my requirement is, I will define the functions in this module, but instead of calling these functions from the same module, I will create another module, and then from that module, I want to invoke these functions. I want to call these functions. So how we can do that? Let me just comment these two. So currently we have only two functions. Now I want to call these functions from another module, from different module. Let's create another module here on the same directory. I'm creating another Python file, and I'll name it as a operations. Now this is another module. Calculator is another module. Operations is another module. Just a moment. What happens? Just a moment, guys. It is stuck. Okay. It's not closing. It is hanged. Okay, just a second, guys. I'm just trying to reopen my PyCharm. So this is the problem with the PyCharm. So let me just restart my PyCharm. Just a moment. Okay. So now this is a calculator module and this is the operations module. So currently our time, just drag down like this, and which will automatically open this. And this is open two windows. This is just a moment. All right. Now here I just open two windows because I just click on this tab and drag it down, and automatically the two windows will be split here. So what is the first step is, we need to first open this and then click on another one. So now two modules are open in two different tabs, right? So I want to see both of them at the same time. So what you can do is just go and open one module and click on this tab and just drag down like this. So as soon as you drag it, and you can see two windows. Okay. Now this is the one module I created. Calculator is one module. And then I want to call these functions from another module. Operations.py is another module from where I want to call the two functions. So when I just specify this here directly, this will give an error because the operations.py is a different module. So this module doesn't have these kind of functions, and these functions are created in some other module. So we cannot directly access it. But still, if you want to access them, what you have to do is, we have to use import statement here. Import, and in which module these functions are available. So we need to specify that module. Okay, so in which module these functions are available. So we need to specify that module name. So import calculator. It will automatically pop up what are all modules are available in the folder. So once we import it, so again, still it is giving an error, add and multiplication. So once we imported this calculator module, so from this calculator module, we have to call these functions. Okay. So again, there are multiple ways are there. The first approach is, as soon as you imported this, you have to just specify the module name one more time here, calculator dot add. Now, similarly, here I can say calculator dot multiplication. So in the pop-up window, which will automatically show you here, but just look at this. Okay. So first we need to import this module, and then only we will able to access the method by using that module name. But this is the one approach. This is the first approach. Approach one. First, we have to import the module, and then module name dot function name. Module name dot function name we have to call. And there is one more approach. So for example, first I will import this module along with the function. Suppose this module is having so many functions, but I want to access specific function, just one or two functions I want to use. So in that case, what you will do is, you have to just specifically import those functions. I say approach 2. So I say import calculator, import calculator, not import, from calculator, from keyword you have to use, from calculator what you want to use? Two functions, add and multiplication function. So here we use import command, import add comma multiplication. So this is the one more statement you have to write. So from calculator, and this time I'm importing only specific functions from the calculator, import add and multiplication. And this case we can directly call the functions. We no need to specify the module name here. So I can just pass 100 comma 200, and similarly I can just call multiplication 10 comma 20 like this. Okay, so from calculator, this time we are importing addition and multiplication. In that case, we no need to specify the module name here. So this is the first approach and the second approach. Let me just execute the first approach. Execute. So which file we have to execute now? Which module we have to execute? Operations.py we have to execute, because we are calling the functions from the operations.py. So let's run it. And then you will see the first output, you will see 100. And the second method, we are not passing any argument. So it is giving type error because missing two required optional parameters. So we haven't passed the arguments here. So let us pass the two arguments and then execute. So you will get the output. So this is the first method. First import this module and then module name dot function name, module name dot function name. But I don't want to specify this module name every time. In that case, you can just go with the second approach. So in the second approach, you no need to specify the module name every time. Just you can directly call the functions by passing the parameters. But you have to use this keyword from calculator, import, add and multiplication. So from the calculator module, we are trying to import two functions. So in this case, you no need to specify the module name in front of every function. So this is a one more approach. When you execute this, this will also give the same output. And there is one more approach is also there. For example, in the calculator, I have so many functions are there. Let's say I have 10 functions or 20 functions are there. In that case, it is very difficult to specify all the functions list here, right? So in that case, what you can do is you can simply do star. Instead of specifying all the functions, you can simply say star. So from calculator, import star. That means what? From calculator module, import star, star representing all the functions which are available, not only functions, classes also. Whatever is there in the module, calculator, import everything, and then we will able to access them directly like this. So this is a approach 3. This is a approach 3. And here we can simply say star, which is matching with all the functions in the calculator module, and whatever functions you want to call from that calculator module, you will able to call it. So this is how we can just define the functions in one module, and we can call the functions from another module by importing that module, by importing the module. But if you import only module name, then you have to specify the module name in front of every function. Or the other way is, if you import only specific functions from calculator, then you no need to specify the module name. But if you want to use all the functions from the module, then simply say import star. Star is matching with all the functions. Okay, this is the one example. First example. How can create a module? We have seen how to call the functions from another module. And the next example, I will show you how to call the classes and methods, everything from another module. So in this example, we have seen the first example 1. So in example 1, we have seen how to create a module, and then how to call the functions from one module to another module. So this is an example, first example. So how to create a module and how to call functions from one module to another module. Now let us move on to the next example. Suppose if I just look at here, I will create 2 different modules, and 2 different modules are having the same functions. Then how we can call them? So let me just close it. And what I'm trying to do here is I just create one module. So in the day 9, I'm just creating one module, Python file. I will name it as animal.py. I say animal.py. Py is not required here because we are directly creating the Python file. So I created one module called animal.py. So inside this, I'm creating two functions. Let's say def fly, and this is a function. And inside this, I'm just printing some text. I'll say animal can't fly. Okay, I just printed one statement. Similarly, I'll create one more function, def color, and this is the one more function. And inside this, I'm just printing animal is black. So now two functions I created in one single module, fly, and the other module is color. One is a fly and the other one is color. This is the animal module. Now I'll create one more module, new Python file, and I'll name it as bird module. And inside also, I will create the same functions. Inside also, I'll create the same functions, but the body I will change. Here instead of animal, I'll say bird can fly, and bird is, I say, green. Okay, now I have changed the body of the method, but both the modules having the same functions. The function names are exactly the same in both the modules, animal and bird. Now my requirement is, I want to call the functions, animal functions as well as bird functions in another single module. Okay, let me just create a third module, and I'll name it as animal and bird .py. So this is another module. Animal and bird is another module. So this first module, second module, and third module. Now I want to call the functions from animal module, and also I want to call the functions from bird module in single module. That's the third module. In the third module itself, I want to call all the functions from both the animal and bird module. Okay, so this is a different scenario. So functions names are exactly the same, but how we can do that? So to do this, first thing is we need to import them. Okay, so first we need to import those modules. So because these are the two different modules, we have to import them, and then only we will able to access them, right? So again, there are multiple approaches are there here. Let me just show you one approach. Approach one. So that we already know. So first we need to import animal and then import bird. Okay, two modules I have imported. So two modules are imported, but both the modules having the same functions only, right? But how we can call the function specifically? Suppose I want to call the functions from animal module, then I can say animal dot fly. And then I want to call the color function from the animal module. Simply say animal dot color. And similarly, I want to call the fly method from the bird module. Simply you can say bird dot fly. And similarly, bird dot color. So we can directly call them, because here there is no problem at all. Why? Because we are directly specifying the module name, so that these functions will be called from that particular module only. So in this approach, there is no problem at all. We can just execute and you will get the output here. So these two statements are coming from the animal functions, and these two functions are coming from the, these two statements are coming from the bird. So here I have not changed this actually, bird. Okay, now go back again. Once again, just run it. Yeah, now we can just look at here. These two statements are coming from the animal module, and these two are comes from the bird module. So here we don't have any issues because we are explicitly specifying the module name. So Python will be able to differentiate which method is belongs to which module, right? This is fine. Now I'll show you one more approach. Let us see this approach. Approach 2. In this, what I will do is, in approach 2, I'm using from keyword. Okay, let's see. From animal, I just want to import all the functions. I say import star. From animal, import star. Now from bird, see this, from bird, import star. So now I imported all the functions from animal. I imported all the functions bird from the bird. So when you use this from animal import from bird, we don't need to specify the module name dot function name. We can directly specify the functions only, right? So when I call this fly function, so from which module this fly function will be called? And suppose when I say color function, when I call color function, from which module this color function will be called. So in this approach, there is a problem. So what is the problem? So I defined these two, but whichever the latest import here, bird is a latest import, latest model import. So these two functions by default called from the bird module, not from the animal module, because these are latest import. And after this, whatever the functions we have called, so those functions will be executed from the bird module, not from the animal module. So this is a problem in this. But if you just go with this, we cannot invoke the animal module. We cannot invoke the functions from the animal module. But what is the remedy for this? First, we have to import the animal module and call the functions. And after that, import bird module and then call the functions. This is the solution for that, like this. Okay. So if I don't do like this, if I just put both the import at one shot, the latest import, whatever is there, all the functions will be called from that latest import. Okay. So now these two functions will be called from animal module, and these two functions will be called from the bird module. So this is another approach. So when I execute this, now we can see the output. So these two statements are coming from animal module. These two statements are coming from the bird module. So this is how we have to invoke the functions from the different modules. Okay, so what we understood. So the first thing we have seen how to create a module, how to call the functions from one module to another module. In the next example, what we have seen, if the module having same functions, how to invoke functions, or you can simply say, okay, just a moment. I'll cover all the scenarios, guys. Just a moment. Give me some time. So same functions in two modules. If the same functions are having two modules, how to invoke those functions we have seen here. Okay. So the question is, if you are using them multiple times in the program, we have to import again and again. So like animal, then bird, then animal again. Yes. So because you don't do like this, most of the times once we imported this, we have to call all the functions from this module. And once it is over, then import another module and then call all the functions. Okay, so it is not a best practice to write. It is not a best practice to write the same import again and again multiple times. So if you have that kind of requirement, just instead of going this, go with the first approach. It is a better approach, because everywhere you want to invoke the functions, definitely you have to specify the module name. So in that case, you don't need to write the import multiple times, just import only once. And this function you can call any number of times because you are specifically saying the module name here. Okay, so this approach is appropriate in that particular scenario if your requirement is like that. Okay, or else go with the second approach. But in the second approach, you have to do this multiple times. So these are the two different ways we can invoke the functions. So we have seen how to access the functions, how to call the functions, if those functions are the same in multiple modules. Currently, I have taken only two modules. You can try with multiple modules. Fine. So that's the second example. Now, in these two examples, in the first example, second example, we talk about only functions, right? So now if the modules are having classes, then how we can access? Module can also have the classes, right? As I said beginning, what is module? Module contains the functions, and sometimes module is also contains the classes. But how we can access those classes? How we can create an object of the classes? So that I will show you now. So let's see how to work with the multiple modules if the module is having some classes. Okay, so let's create two different modules, and in those two modules, I will create a classes. Let me create a new module, and I will name it as a.py, simply a. So this is one module. A.py is one module. Now this time I'm going to create one class, not a function. Okay, class, and my class name is, I'll say animal. My class name is animal, and inside the class, and this is not extending from anything, so this is a colon. Okay, if it is extending something from different class, we have to say these brackets, otherwise optional. Brackets are optional. But if this class is extending from some parent class, we have to specify the bracket and specify the parent class. Otherwise, these are brackets are optional. Now inside the class, I'll define one method by using def keyword, def display, And here self keyword is required because we are creating the function inside the class. This is actual method, not a function. Now inside this, I'll write one simple message and I say I like cow. So simple message I printed. So this is one class which is created inside a.py in one module. Now let me create one more module, new Python file. I say b.py. Say b, which is automatically created. So in a.py, I've just defined one method called display. Animal is a class and which contains a display method. Now in b.py module, I will create one more class called as a bird. And this is also having display function. And here I will display something, let's say parrot. Okay, now a.py is one module which contains one class, and b.py is another module which is also contains a one more class. Two different modules having two different classes. Now I want to access these classes. I want to create an object for these classes to access these functions from another module. Okay, from another module. Then it is how it is possible. So let me create a third module. I say ab.py. So now a.py is one module, b.py is another module, ab.py is another module. Totally three different modules I have. So this is one module, a.py, and b.py is another module. So these are the two modules. And now here, I just want to call these two classes, or I want to use this, or I want to access these two classes inside ab.py. This is the third module. So now how we can access ab.py. Again, there are multiple approaches here. The first approach is, let me put here I'm writing. So approach one. So I'll say approach one. And in approach one, we just use import keyword. Okay, so I say import, and which module you want to import? A is my first module. And then I'll import module B. So now I have imported both the modules. So from A, I want to access animal, and which contains one method. I want to invoke this method. So to invoke this method, what we have to do, we have to create an object of animal class. And through that object, we will be able to access display method. And this animal class is present inside the A module, right? So how we can create now? Object I want to create. How to create an object? So normally how to create an object? Obj equal to some object. Obj equal to animal. So this is a normal way we will create an object, right? So this is an object variable and this is a class name. So this is an object. Through this object, we will be able to access the display method. This is a normal way. But this time we have to specify this class belongs to which module. So A module. So we have to specify A.animal. Now we created an object like this. So as soon as you created an object, and through this object, let's say obj dot display, you can call that function or you can call that method. And similarly, I'll create one more object. Let's make it as obj1, and I'll create another object for B module. Oh, sorry, I want to already imported B module. So from the B module, what is the class we created? Bird class we created. So that I want to import. I already imported. I just want to create an object of bird class. How to create? B dot bird. This will create an object and we'll define one more variable called obj2. And from obj2, I can access display method. This is one approach. So we have to first import those modules. And then whenever you are trying to create an object, you cannot directly specify obj1 equal to animal. So what we have to do, we have to specify from which module this animal classes comes from. So A is a module name. And similarly, if you want to access the bird class, and we have to specify the B is a module name dot bird, and this will create an object. Through that object, we're able to access the display method. This is one approach. Let's execute and see. So we cannot execute b.py or a.py. So we have to execute this ab.py because this is actual module from where we are trying to invoke. So now this is actual statement printed by the display method, which is created inside the animal class. And this statement comes from the display method, which is created in the bird class. So with this, we are able to access the classes also from two different modules. Just by specifying the module name, we can access the classes after importing these two modules. But how we can do by using from statement, from keyword. Comment this. Second approach. First approach is direct import. The second approach is from module name and class name also we have to specify. Approach 2. So in approach 2, we have to first specify from A import, and in A which class is there, animal class is there, so we have to just import it. Similarly, from B import bird class. So now we have imported animal class as well as bird class from both the modules. So once we imported, we can directly create an object, and we already specifying the module name here. If I just look at, and we are already specifying the class. So in this approach, we no need to specify the module name, just like a previous approach. Every time when you specifying the class here, we are specifying the module name dot class name. But this time we don't need that. We can directly create an object for animal class like this, obj1, and then obj1 dot display. Similarly, object 2 is creating for bird class, and for this obj2 dot display function I can invoke. So this is a one more approach. You can just run as execution. So now we got the same output. Okay, so this is how we need to work with the modules, multiple modules. And sometimes module contains the functions, sometimes you can have classes also. Okay, so only two statements we have discussed here actually. So one is, first approach is import, and here we have to specify the module name. Import module name. This is the first approach. Second approach is we use from keyword, from module. Here we have to specify module name. From module import, and here you can specify the function names, or you can specify the classes names. Okay, so these are the two different approach. This is actual approach 1, and this is the approach 2. In all the examples, I have shown you these two approaches. Okay, so this is all about modules. So once you created a functions or classes in one module, we will able to access them in another modules just by importing the module. Clear, guys, everyone? So please confirm in the chat window. No, objects we cannot access. Okay, objects can be accessed only within the module. So objects, if I want to access these objects, no. So this object we created just for storing this instance. These are just instances. Okay, that doesn't make any sense actually. So that makes sense because we will able to access the classes, because we need to create an object. Why we are accessing the classes here? Because we want to do something. So if you want to call the functions, first we need to create an object of the class. That's the main purpose of calling the function. But what is the purpose of getting the object from another module? There is no reason for that. Okay, so most of the times we just invoke the functions and classes from another module, not objects. Even we cannot invoke this object from another module. Okay, so that doesn't make any sense. So this is all about modules related stuff. So we can create functions and classes in one module, and we can how to access them in another module by using import statement and by using from statement. So this is the concept. Okay. Now let us move on to the another one called packages. Packages. So what is package in Python? So don't compare with the Java here, because Java is also having packages concept, but we don't have module concept in Python in Java. Okay, so and don't compare Java and Python because there is a little difference is there. Okay, so now let us see what is package. So we have understood what is module. Module contains the functions and classes, but what is package contains? Package contains a collection of modules. Package is nothing but a collection of modules. Simple. And which one is a higher level entity here? Package is a very high level entity. Okay, package. The package contains the modules, or it can be a single module or multiple modules. But again, what modules contains? Functions and classes. This is the hierarchy we'll follow in Python. Okay, functions and classes. So just we have understood what is module, how to work with the modules.
But apart from this, there is higher entity which is having package. So now what is package? Package is a collection of modules. Package is a collection of modules. Okay. Now we will see different examples, how to create a package, how to create multiple modules in the package, and how we can access those modules which are created inside the package. And suppose in some package I have one module, how we can access that module in some other package. So there are different combinations we have to understand here. Okay. So now little tricky stuff. So we have to just focus and try to understand. I'll make it is simple. So go back to the PyChamp, and before going to that, let me just show you something here. So before implementation of this, I'll show you some examples. So let us see, we'll try to implement this. Okay, first we will create one package one. So what is package contains? Package always contains a modules, right? So I will create one package. Inside this, I will create two modules. Let's say module 1 and module 2. In the one package, I will create one, module 2. And what is again module contains? Module contains a functions and classes. Currently, I will create one function here. Display function in module 1, show function in module 2. And then I will access these two modules along with the functions in one more module. So the client is also another module. Client is also another module. So actually these two modules are present in pack 1. And these two modules again contains different functions in each module. So I want to access these modules from another program, client module. I will create outside of the pack 1. So this is not belongs to any pack 1 or any module. So this is a completely different module which I will create outside of the package 1. So importing modules from single package. So here I have only one single package which contains the two modules. So I want to access these two modules from another client program. Okay, so this is again, this client will be created outside of the pack 1. This is a scenario. Now let us see practically how to implement this. So let's go to, so this is how we need to implement here. So actually this is a scenario guys. Okay, the first scenario. So I will create one pack 1, so which contains a module 1 and module. So both are available in pack 1 only. And now in the module 1, I'll create one function. Module 2, I have one more function. But let us create this structure, and then we will see how to call them and how to invoke them. So go back to the PyChamp. Let me close all of them. Okay, so now inside this, I'm creating a new package. How to create a package in Python? So right click, new, and you can directly see one option here, Python package. Click on Python package, and here I'm giving pack 1. So this is my package. So as soon as you created one package, by default, it is created one file called _init_.py. And this is a default file which is created inside the package whenever you create a new package. So we don't need to do anything with this file. So let it be there. And now we are going to create two modules, because as per our requirement, the pack 1 contains a module 1 and module 2. You can just look at here. Pack 1 contains a module 1 and module 2. Each module contains two different functions. Module 1 contains a display function. Module 2 contains a show function. Now let us try to implement this first. So I created one pack 1. So inside this, I'm creating module first. Module. And what's the name of the module? I'll say module 1. Let me just rename it. How to rename the file? Refactor, rename. And I'll say module. Okay, module 1. So inside the module 1, I will create one function. I said def display function I'm creating, not a class, it's a function. Inside this, I'm just writing a simple message. I say this is display function from module 1. Okay, this is a simple statement I have written. This is module 1 implementation. Now I'll create one more module on the same package. Go ahead and create another Python file. This is another module. I say module 2. Module 2. So inside this module, I will create one more function called def show. Def show, and inside this, I will print this is a show function, or we can simply, this is not, oh yeah, it is show function, right? Not a method. Show function from module 2. module 2. So now in the module 1, I created display function. Module 2, I created show function, and both are available in which package? Pack 1. Both are available in the pack 1. Okay. Now observe this. I will create a new module in the folder, not in the pack 1. So this structure is created now. So now we need to invoke these two modules. We need to access these two modules from a different program, which is again not part of the pack 1. So pack 1 contains only these two modules, nothing else. Now let it be this one side. Now I'm creating a client program. There's a normal Python module. This is another module which is outside of pack 1. So I'll name it as a client. Okay, so from this, I want to access module 1 and module 2. So I want to access module 1 and module 2 in the client program. So how to access it? So this is a module 1, module 2, and then I'm opening the client. Just to put here. Yeah. So now you will be able to see here. So 3 windows you can see, right? So this is module 1, this is module 2. So both are available in pack 1. But I want to access them from the client, which is not part of pack 1. This is complete external program. So now we cannot directly import the modules. Why? Because those modules are now part of pack 1, which are part of package. If they are independent modules, like other modules like this, we can directly import and we can call the functions. But this time, these two modules, like module 1 and module 2, are available inside the package. So we cannot directly import. We cannot directly import. But what we have to do that? So before importing, we should import them, but we cannot directly import. If I just see here, import, and what is the name we have given in the pack 1? Module 1, module 2, right? So say import module 1. This will give an error. Similarly, if I say import module 2, this will also give an error. It doesn't know about the module 1 and module 2 because they are there in different package. That's the problem. But still, I want to import them. I want to access those functions which are created inside the package. So how we can do that is we have to import a predefined package, which is predefined module, which is sys module first. Okay. Import sys. Sys is a predefined module of Python. We have not implemented this module. This is already there in Python. First, we have to import sys module. Next thing is we have to specify the path of your package 1, because these two modules are available in which package? Pack 1. So the path of the pack 1 we have to specify here. How to specify that path? Sys dot path dot append. Append is a command. Sys dot path dot append, and here we have to specify the location of your pack 1, and then only we will be able to import these two modules. Or how to specify the path of the pack 1? If you want to get the path of the pack 1, you can directly right click, and you can see one option called copy path or reference. If I just click on it, it will show you the absolute path here. Okay, just copy it, click on it, and then go here in the double quotations, you can paste it over here. But you have to use forward slashes, not a backward slashes. So actually this is the location where our pack 1 is available. Okay, pack 1 is available inside the location. Not only location, you have to specify the package name also. So first we have to specify these two statements. If you are trying to import the modules from the package, in which package you are importing, that package path you have to specify here. And if I don't import this sys default module, then this will give an error, because this is we cannot access directly. So we have to import that sys module, which is already there in Python. And then we have to use that module name dot path dot append. And then we will be able to import module 1 and module 2. So now here imported. So obviously we can access the functions, which is there in the module 1. Simply we can say module 1 dot, which method we have created in the module 1, display method we have created. We can just call it. Similarly, from module 2, which function we created, show function we created, we can call it. But it will still show you an error. You don't worry about this. PyCharm is not able to recognize this, but this is perfectly fine. Let me execute and show you now. So when I execute this, this will able to give the result. Okay. So this is how we will able to access the modules which are available in a bit different package. So we cannot directly access the modules which are available in the package. So if you want to call the modules or if you want to use those modules in some other program, first we have to specify the location of your package and then import and then call the functions. This is the order. Or another approach is also there. This is the first approach. As we already know, this is my approach one. In the second approach, we can use from keyword. From keyword also we can use. Approach 2. From keyword. How do we use from keyword? From module 1 import. If you want to import all the functions, obviously you can say star. Similarly, from module 2 import star. So these statement will show some error, but you don't need to consider them. It will work. So from module 1, we have imported all the functions. And from module 2 also, we have imported all the functions. Now we can simply call. We no need to specify the module name. This time we can directly call the display function here. Display and then show. We can directly call them. So display. Now execute. So this will also print the output. Same output we got it. Okay, so this is another approach. So this is how we can access the modules which are available in package, some external package. So first we have to specify the location or path of the package, and then we will able to import, and then we will able to call the functions. So this is another most important example. Okay. Now let me show you one more scenario. Are you guys clear this one? Please confirm in the chat window. Most important example. So once you start practicing, then only you will understand this. How to invoke or how to access the modules if they are created in the package. If they are not created in the package, we can directly import, no issues at all. That are already seen multiple examples also here. But the problem comes when if the modules are created in some package or different package, and then we have to specify the location of the package, and then we will able to import the modules, and then we will able to access the functions. This is a concept. Okay. Now let's go to the little bigger scenario. See this here. Okay. So here, observe this. Inside the pack 1, we can also create one more sub package. The package contains another package. A package also can contains another package. So now if I just look at this, pack 1 contains a pack 2, and pack 2 contains a module 2. So module 2 contains one function, and pack 1 directly contains one module, and this module contains a display function. Now we will able to access everything from pack 1, module 1, and we will able to access everything from pack 2, module 2. So how we can access everything from client program? This is another scenario. This is another scenario. Now let me show you. Go back to the notes, and this time I'm going to show you a different scenario. This is actual scenario. So this time we have a pack 1. Inside this, we will create module 1 and display function. And inside the pack 1, I will create one more sub package called pack 2. Inside this, module 2 will be created, and inside this show method is there. Now from the client program, I want to access module 1 and module 2. And here, notice here, module 1 is direct module of pack 1. But module 2 is not part of pack 1. Module 2 is a part of pack 2, which is again sub package of pack 1. Because one package can have multiple sub packages also. Okay. So this is another example. This is one example. And this is one more example. Now observe this. Let us try to implement this. Pack 1 is directly contains a module 1, which is having display function. Pack 2 contains a pack 2. This is a submodule which contains a module 2 and show. Okay. Now let us try to implement this. Go back to the PyCharm. Close everything. Okay. So pack 1 is already there. So module 1, module 2, we already created. So let me just take a different thing so that we will able to understand. right click, new Python package. I'm giving package 1. Okay, instead of pack, I'm calling it as a package 1 because pack is already there. So I'm just getting another package. So it's a package 1. And in this package, I will create one module which contains a display function. Okay. So in this package, I will create one module and which contains a function. Let's do this. Just a moment. Okay, so we do one thing. So instead of creating another package, let us create this module 2. We will separate this module 2 in some other package. Okay, then we will see anything is fine or we can continue with this. Okay, let me do this. Package 1 contains a module 1. I'm just copying this module 1 into package 1. Okay, I'll take another copy here. So now you can just look at here, package 1, which contains a module 1 and which contains a display function. So one scenario is done. This one is done. Package 1 we created. Let us assume this is package 1 and this is package 1 and this is package 2. Okay, so in package 1 we created one module which contains a display function. Now we can just look at here, package 1 which contains a one module contains a display function. Perfectly fine. Now the second thing is, in the package 1 I'll create another sub package. Inside this module 2 I will create, and inside this show method is there, show function is there. So how to create the sub package in the package 1? So right click on package 1, new, another package. So I will name it as package 2. So now this package 2 is created inside the package 1. Now what I will do, I will copy this module 2 inside this package 2. Inside this, just control copy and paste. Okay, now observe this. Package 1 directly contains a module 1 which contains a display function, and package 1 contains a package 2, this sub package, which contains a module 2 function which is having show function. Now we have achieved this hierarchy. If I just look at here, in the package 1 we directly created one module which contains a display function. In the same package 1 we created another package 2 which contains a module 2 function which contains a show function. So this is implemented actually. So this is a structure we have implemented. Now we should be able to access the module 1 and module 2 in some other client program. So let us see one more client program. So I will create a client program separately. Client.py is already there. So let me just create another client program, new Python file. I'm just giving client as just a name. Okay, you can give anything, no problem. So here I'm just giving a different name. I'll say client 2. Client 2. So from this, I should be able to access. How we can access? So first, let us see how to access module 1, and then I will show you how to access module 2. So now you have to, you can tell me now. So if you want to access module 1 from the package 1, what we have to do? Can we directly do this? Module 1. You can say import module 1. Is it possible directly? Import module 1, and from the module 1, I'm just going to call display method. Is it right or not? The script is perfectly fine, but module 1 is present inside the package 1. So until unless we specify the location of package 1, we cannot directly access the module, right? So what we have to do now, we have to import sys module first, and then we have to specify the location. How to specify? Sys dot path dot append, and here we have to specify the location of package 1. So copy this, right click here, copy path, and just click on here the first one, and then Control V. It will automatically paste it over here. And use forward slashes, not backward slashes, because Python cannot understand backward slashes. It can understand only forward slashes. So now it is perfectly right. So this package path we specified, then we have imported, and then we have called that function. Let us execute and see. Yeah, we got the perfect. We got the output. And similarly, let us try to import module 2. Import module 2. Now in the module 2, which function we have? show function. I say dot show. So is it correct or not? Is it correct or not? Let us try to execute. What is it saying? Import module 2. Module not found error. No module named called module 2. It is giving an error. Why it is giving for module 2 error? Because module 2 is not part of this package. Module 2 is not part of package 1. Module 2 is a part of package 2, which is already present in package 1. So if you want to import this module 2, what you have to do now? We should also import package 2 inside the package 1 / here we specify package 2. Okay, then only we will able to import module 2. So then execute. So this will give you output. Okay, so this is how. First, we need to import the required packages in whichever package our modules are available. We have to first specify the locations of the packages, and then we will import those modules and then call the functions based on the particular module by specifying the module name. Clear? This is one approach. This is one approach. First approach. Okay, now I'll tell you one more approach. Comment this. Second approach is what? What is the second approach? From keyword. Just only two approaches we were discussing from the beginning, by using direct import, by using from keyword. Okay, so we have seen how to direct import here. So now the from keyword. Approach 2. Now this is the most important thing in approach 2. So as usual, I'll just copy these three statements. So we have imported this module, and also we have imported, we have specified the locations of pack 1 and pack 2. Okay, so we have imported pack 1 and pack 2, all the packages locations we specified. Now just observe this. So after importing this, we directly, after specifying the location, we directly imported two modules. We call the functions by specifying the module 1 dot module 2 dot. Now from module 1 import star, from module 2 import star. Okay, module 1 is imported, everything imported from module 1, everything is imported from the module 2. So directly we can call the functions or not. Display and show. We don't need to specify the module name here. We don't need to specify the module name here because we are already importing everything from the module 1 and module 2. So this is a direct approach. But if I import only module, then we have to specify the module name dot function, module name dot function like this. So let's execute, and this will also give you right output. But here display function is spelling mistake. So this is the display. Okay, now we got the output. So this is how we can just first specify the locations of the packages and then import the required modules and then call the functions. So this is a one more important function. Okay, this is a one more important approach. Guys, clear how to work with the packages and module? Now I will show you one more last example. You will be able to understand. So now suppose if the modules are having classes, so then how we can do that? One more last example. Look at this. I have two different packages. Let's say pack 1 and pack 2. In the pack 1, I will have one module called EMP. In the pack 2, I have another module called STU, student. And now in the EMP module, I create one class called employee. And STU module, I will create one class called student, because module contains the functions and classes also, right? Functions we already seen how to access, but what about the classes? Now EMP module, I create one class called employee, and in STU module also I will create one class called student class. Now employee class, I will create one method, display employee details, and student class, I will create another method called display students data. So this is the structure we are going to implement. And finally, I want to call these two methods by creating an objects of employee and student classes inside the client module. This is another program which is not part of either pack 1 or pack 2. This is the final structure. So let us try to implement this. Now let me write this example here. So what we are going to create in this is this one. So in the pack one, I will have EMP module, which contains a employee class, which contains a display employee method. This is the first thing we will create. Then another pack two, which contains a student module STU, which contains a student class, which contains a display STU method. And now I will create a client program in some other package, not belongs to pack one or pack two. So client program is created in another package. From there, I want to access everything from these two packages. I want to create an objects of these classes. Through those objects, we will able to access these methods. So now let us see how to implement this. So let's go back to the PyChamp. So we already used these names, pack one, and inside this package two, and so on. So let me just give a different names. Okay, so I'm just giving something called Python package. I say package A. Let's name it as a package A. Okay, instead of package 1, 2, 3, I say ABC. So instead of pack A, I say pack B and pack C. Let's name it as ABC. Pack A, pack B, pack C. Okay. Now I say pack A. Package A. Now inside this package A, what we have to create? EMP module. Inside this employee class. Inside this there is a method. Now let us create a EMP module. Inside the pack A, I'm going to create a new Python file, which is a module. So I'll name it as a EMP. EMP. Okay. Now inside this EMP module, I will create one class called employee class. So let us create an employee class. Class employee. Inside the employee class, what is the method I will create? Display employee details. But to display employee details, first of all, we need to have some data, right? So for that, I will also create one additional constructor. So def, how to create a constructor? Underscore init. And let us assume this constructor will take some data. What is the data? Employee ID, comma. At the time of object creation of employee, we will pass this data later. So ename, comma, salary. So three details I'm taking: SID, name, and salary. And these are the local variables, right? I want to assign them into class variables. How to assign them? Self dot EID equal to EID, self dot ename equal to ename, self dot salary equal to sal. Now these variables are become class variables. We will able to access from anywhere. This is a constructor. So a constructor will initiate the values. Once the values are initiated, we can print them. So how to print them? I'll create one more method here just for printing purpose. I said def display EMP. And here I will just say print statement. So inside the print statement, I will just print all the values. So how to access these things? Self.eid, I will just print it here, comma, self.ename, comma, self.sal. Okay, I just print all the data here. So this is how I have implemented employee class. So which will take the arguments in the constructor and it will print the data. Similarly, let us go back again. See, so we have created package A, pack A, which contains the EMP module, which contains employee class, which contains one method, and constructor I additionally created to get the data. Okay, so this part is completed. Now let us move on to the next step. We will create pack B, which contains STU module, which contains a student class, which contains a display student details. Now let us create this one, pack B. Let it be there. And now let me just create another package inside the same day. New Python package pack B. Okay, pack B. Now I created another package, pack A and pack B. Now pack B contains what? Pack B contains a STU module. So let's create a new module, Python file. I'll name it as a STU. STU is a module. So what is this module? Contains a student class. So let us create the student class here. Again, class student. So how we have created in the EMP class. Similarly, we have to create a student class. I'm just copying this here. and I'll make it as a student class, student. And also I'm having some constructor here. Instead of employee ID name salary, I'm getting student ID. Okay, student name, and let us take grade. Okay, grade. So now self.sid, self.sid equal to SID, and then self. Yes, I hope you guys are clear on this because we have already discussed this concept earlier. Sname, self.sname equal to sname, and self.grade equal to grade. Okay, now I created one constructor to get the students data, and then I have display the students data. I say display stu, and here I say self.sid, self.sname, self.grade. Okay, so this is the implementation of the class. So now with this, what I have achieved here is we have created a pack A, which contains a EMP module, which contains an employee class, which contains a display method along with the constructor. Now we create another pack B, which contains a STU module, which contains the student class, which contains a student STU method along with the constructor. So we have implemented these stuff. Okay. Now the next final step, how to access, how to create an objects of these two classes. Because if you want to access these methods, we have to create an object of employee and student. But I want to create an objects of these classes from another package, another program or another module. So how we can access them? Now I'll show you. So let's create another pack C, which contains a client program. Now I'm creating another package. Pack A is done, pack B is done. So now pack C, Python package, pack C. Now inside this package, I'm going to directly create a module called client itself is a module. So I'm just creating a new Python file. I'll name it as a client. Okay, so from here, I should be able to access everything. Okay, I should be able to access everything. So what are all things I should access now? First, I need to access employee class, student class. And then obviously, once you create an object of these two, we will be able to access all the methods. But before creating the objects of these classes, first what we have to do, we have to import these modules. Again, before importing, we have to specify the locations of these modules. So these packages, that's the first thing, right? So let us see how we can import these modules and everything. So first, let us see this part. Okay, first we have to specify the location of A, and then import this EMP module and create an object of employee class and access this method. So this part we will do first. So go back to the client, and here import sys module and sys dot path dot append, and here specify the location of pack 1. So right click, copy path, click on the first one, copied. So /, this is a pack 1. So this is a pack 1, right? So inside the pack 1, what is the module you want to access here? EMP module, right? So we can import directly, right? So I say import EMP. You can directly import EMP. You can use, because EMP is a part of EMP module is a part of pack A only. But EMP contains a employee class. So how to create an object of employee class now? Here, employee. So how to access employee? We cannot directly access. We have to specify the module name, EMP dot employee. And for that, I'm creating EMP object, right? So once you created a EMP object, we will able to access a function EMP obj dot, which function we created in the employee. Do you have remember? So here it is not giving properly because there's a problem with the PyCharm. Okay, we don't need to do anything with that. So just try to write the code. So in the pack 1, in the pack A, sorry guys, we have imported incorrect package. So it should be pack 1, right? So pack A, B, C, we have given names, right? So not a pack 1. So it should be pack A. This should be pack A. I hope you guys are not seeing properly. Please let me know if I do something wrong. Okay. So this is a pack A. We have to import this EMP module from which module, which package? Pack A only, right? So pack A path we have specified. Now in the pack A, we have EMP module. So imported EMP module. So if you want to access a class from this module, we have to say module name dot class name. And this is an object. Once you get an object, we will able to call the method. What is that method? Display EMP. Display EMP. But can we directly call that method? If I call this method, what happens? It will not print anything because this method will get the values only if the constructor is invoked. But when the constructor is invoked at the time of object creation, but are you passing any parameters here? Have you passed any parameters? No, right? So we have to pass the parameters because this employee class is having constructor, right? So what are the values? EMP ID, name, and salary. So let me just pass the data. EMP name first, EMP ID first. I'll say there's a number. I'll say 123 or 101, and then EMP name, and then salary we can specify. Okay, EMP ID, name, and the salary. So now let us execute. So we got the exact data. So with this, we are able to access EMP module, which is present in the pack A. And this EMP module again contains a class. And from this class, we are able to access the method. And constructor, we don't need to call directly, right? We can just pass the arguments to the constructor. At the time of object creation, constructor will be automatically invoked. Right? So same thing we have to repeat for student also. Now import STU module, and STU module is present in which package? We cannot directly import here. Pack B, right? So let's go to the pack B. So in the pack B, STU is there. So we have to import that. So here I'll say pack B. So now STU we can import, and STU dot, we can create an object of STU. STU dot, what is the name of the class? Student. And SID we have to pass. SID, I'll say 1122. I say STU name, I say Scott. The STU grade, I can pass something called B. So now here we have to call the, so this is STU object. STU obj, and by this object we will able to call the method. What is the method we created in the student? Display STU. So that we have to call here. Okay, now let us execute. So this will print details of the student. So this is how we will able to work with the multiple packages, multiple mod. Hierarchy can be anything. In whichever way they have created packages or modules, in whichever way they have in the hierarchy, no issues at all. We can just follow the approach and access everything in the project. So finally, we will able to access everything from anywhere within your project. So that's the main concept which we need to understand here. So you can create a module in somewhere in package or whatever, in whichever way or in whichever place you created, we should be able to access that class. We should be able to access the function. We should be able to access the module. So for that, we have different keywords are available, like import is there. Okay. And similarly, instead of import, you can also use from keyword, no problem at all. So from EMP, suppose I don't want to specify this module names every time. So simply what you can do is, this is one approach actually. So what I can do is, you can just say, yeah, this is approach one. Okay, so let me just comment this. Suppose I don't want to specify the module names, and directly by using from keyword, you can import. Approach 2. So we can just say from which module? So from EMP, import all the classes we need, SX star. Or if you know exact name of the class, you can simply say employee. Okay, employee, we know the class name, right? So I say employee. So now we have imported employee class from EMP, and directly you can create an object of employee. Employee, and here EMP obj employee object. So from this EMP object, we will able to, first we need to pass the parameters, right? Constructor is there, and after that EMP object dot, directly we can call this function. So we have just imported from EMP, imported only class, so that we no need to specify any module name here. We already specified this. So this is also one more approach. So let's execute. and this will also give you an output, because we have created only for student employee, so we got only employee data. And similarly, you can just repeat this for student. From which module? STU, get the student class. Now this is also student class, and we can specify 1010 student ID. Okay, some, let's say David. Okay, and then here we can specify some salary, and then this is a student obj, right? So we can say stu obj, and from stu obj we have to just call display student method. So this is another approach. You can just execute and you will get the output. Okay, so this is a scenario we have successfully implemented. So this is the concept of modules and packages in Python. Okay, very simple. Once you start practicing, just explore this and practice one round of execution you can do, and then you will be able to understand how things works. Because when you're working with the frameworks or projects, we always work with the different packages and modules. We don't create everything in one place. So we will divide them into multiple places so that we will able to maintain the files properly. And sometimes we should be able to achieve the reusability. So for that, we will always create multiple packages and multiple modules, and wherever it is created, no problem. So we should be able to access them properly. So this is a concept of modules and packages. Okay, guys. So I'll stop here for today's session. And next session, we will continue with a few more topics from Python and then proceed further.